Commander Vex Thor of the Cauldrex. Dominion stood in the observation deck of his flagship, the Iron Talon, watching the blue-green planet rotate. Slowly beneath him, his three eyes gleamed with what could only be described as malicious glee as he reviewed the intelligence reports on his holographic display. "Humans," he said, his voice dripping with contempt. "Look at them scurrying around on their fragile little world. They break so easily, their bones snap like dried twigs, their skin tears at the slightest provocation." His second-in-command, Officer Grizz, clicked his mandibles in agreement. The insected warrior had served under Vexter for 12 cycles, and he knew better than to interrupt when the commander was in one of his moods. "Do you know what I find most amusing about humans?" Grix. Vexter turned, his scaled face contorted into something resembling a smile. "They actually think they matter. They send out those pathetic little probes into space, those ridiculous messages in bottles, hoping someone will find them. Well, we found them all right, and now we're going to teach them exactly where they stand in the galactic hierarchy, the Caulders." Dominion had conquered 47 worlds in the past century alone. They were efficient, ruthless, and absolutely convinced of their superiority. Humans would be number 48, easy pickings. The intelligence gathered over the past 3 months had painted a clear picture, a species so fragile they required constant climate control to survive, who injured themselves doing the simplest physical activities, who could die from consuming the wrong foods or breathing the wrong air. Sir Grizz finally spoke, his translator device rendering his clicks and whistles into Calor's standard. "The strike team is prepared. Lieutenant Cora is leading the first wave, 50 soldiers. They'll hit the human military installation designated Alpha 7. Excellent." Vexter's tail swished with satisfaction. "And Cora is aware that I want prisoners." "Yes, living, breathing, terrified prisoners. I want to see the fear in their weak little eyes when they realize their weapons can't penetrate our armor. I want to hear them beg." "She knows, sir." What Vexter didn't know, what his intelligence reports had somehow completely missed, was that Alpha 7 wasn't just any military installation. It was a research facility specializing in extreme environment training, and the humans stationed there weren't ordinary soldiers. They were volunteers who had undergone genetic enhancement and augmentation procedures that pushed the boundaries of what humanity thought possible. The drop pod screamed through Earth's atmosphere like falling stars. Inside one of them, Lieutenant Cora performed her final weapons check. She was a veteran of 16 campaigns, a warrior who had seen species far more advanced than humans surrender after the first bombardment. This would be simple, quick, maybe even boring. The pod slammed into the ground with enough force to crack the concrete. Hatches exploded outward and Caulders warriors poured out, their weapons raised, ready for the pitiful resistance they expected. What they got instead was Sergeant Maya Torres. She was standing in the center of the compound, arms crossed, not even bothering to take cover. She stood maybe 5 1/2 ft tall, which by Calder's standards was laughably small. Her dark hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail, and she wore what appeared to be standard human combat fatigues. No visible armor, no heavy weapons, just a woman waiting. Cora laughed, actually laughed. The sound echoed across the compound through her helmet's external speakers. "This is what they send against us," she called out in translated English. 1. Tiny female, where are your soldiers? Human, where are your defenses? Maya tilted her head slightly, and even from 50 m away, Cora could see the smile. On her face, it wasn't a friendly smile, it was the smile of someone who knew something you didn't, something important. "You're looking at them," Maya replied, her voice carrying easily across the distance. "Well, me, I'm the defense. And you guys just made a really, really bad call." Cora raised her plasma rifle. "Big words for someone about to die. I've been told humans are fragile, that you break easily, that you feel pain more intensely than most species. Is this true?" "Oh yeah," Maya nodded. "Totally true. We're super fragile, born that way. You know what else we are, though?" She cracked her knuckles, and the sound was surprisingly loud in the morning air. "We're adaptable," Cora fired. The plasma bolt should have vaporized the human woman, should have turned her into a cloud of organic matter and regret. Instead, Maya moved. She moved fast. Faster than Cora's 3 eyes could track. One moment she was standing still, the next she was 5 m to the left. And the plasma bolt hit nothing but dirt. "Okay," Maya said cheerfully. "My turn." What happened next would become the stuff of legend among the Calders military, the thing they would whisper about in their barracks, the story that would make even the bravest warriors hesitate before engaging human forces. Maya covered the 50 m distance in less than 3 seconds. 3 seconds. Cora barely had time to register the movement before the human was there. Right there inside her defensive perimeter, and then Maya's fist connected with Cora's chest plate. The armor was rated to withstand direct hits from heavy weapons. It was constructed from compressed titanium ceramic composite, the same material used in starship hulls. It should have been impenetrable to anything short of anti-tank weaponry. It crumpled like paper. Cora flew backward, slammed into 2 of her soldiers, and all 3 of them crashed to the ground in a tangle of limbs and broken equipment. Before anyone could react, Maya was already moving again. She grabbed the nearest soldier by his weapon, yanked it out of his hands with enough force to dislocate his shoulder, spun it around, and used it as a club to knock 3 more warriors off their feet. Then she threw the rifle like a javelin, and it hit another soldier with enough force to pin him to the wall of a nearby building. "Come on," Maya called out, barely breathing hard. "You came all this way just to watch." The remaining soldiers opened fire. 43 warriors unleashed everything they had: plasma bolts, kinetic rounds, energy beams. The air lit up with enough firepower to level city block. Maya danced through it. She twisted, ducked, rolled, jumped. Every movement was precise, calculated, almost casual. A plasma bolt passed so close to her head it singed her hair, and she didn't even flinch. She just kept moving, kept closing the distance, kept smiling that terrifying smile. She reached the main group and went to work. A spinning kick caught one soldier in the head hard enough to snap his neck. An elbow strike caved in another's thorax. She grabbed a third by the leg, swung him around like a club, and used him to knock down 6 more. When she let go, he flew through the air and crashed through a window 50 ft away. "Here's the thing about humans," Maya said conversationally as she dodged another volley of fire. She caught a soldier's wrist mid-punch, twisted, and the arm broke with a sound like snapping tree Branches. We evolved on what you guys would call Deathworld. Everything on Earth is trying to kill us, the weather, the animals, the plants, even the microscopic stuff we've been fighting to survive since before we could walk. Upright, she swept the legs out from under two soldiers, slammed their heads together, and they dropped like stones. So yeah, we're fragile, but we're also tough, really tough. And when you take someone who's already survived a death world and you give them access to genetic modification, cybernetic enhancement, and about 200 years of scientific advancement, she grabbed a soldier by the helmet and used him as a battering ram against three of his companions. Well, you get me. Cora struggled to her feet, her chest plate shattered, her ribs screaming in agony. She watched in horror as this single human systematically dismantled her entire strike team, soldiers who had conquered worlds, warriors who had never known defeat. They were falling like wheat before a scythe. Maya caught sight of Cora trying to retreat and shook her head. Oh no. You're not going anywhere, boss lady. We need to have a conversation. She crossed the distance in a single leap. Literally, she jumped 30 ft. Straight forward, landed in front of Cora, and before the Caldrix officer could even raise her weapon, Maya had her by the throat. Let me guess, Maya said, lifting Cora off the ground with one hand. You thought this would be easy? You thought humans were weak? You probably laughed about it, made jokes, talked about how we break easily, how we feel pain so intensely. Cora gasped for air, her hands scrabbling uselessly at Ma's iron grip. Well, you were right about one thing, Mia continued. We do feel pain, but here's what you didn't account for. We got used to it. We had to. Pain is just information, data, and we learned to process that data, to work through it, to use it. You know what your biggest mistake was? She squeezed slightly and Ka felt something in her throat start to give way. You assumed that being fragile made us weak, but fragility made us strong. It made us clever. It made us mean, because when you're fragile, when everything can kill you, you learn to kill first. You learn to hit harder, to move faster, to never ever give up. Maya dropped Cora to the ground. The Caldrix officer collapsed, gasping, coughing, her three eyes wide with terror. Now, Mia said, crouching down to look Cora in the eyes. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to get on your little communicator and tell your commander that Earth is off limits, that humans are not, I repeat, not easy targets, that we are very much not interested in being conquered, and if he doesn't listen, if he sends more soldiers, if he thinks he can overwhelm us with numbers. She smiled again, and Cora felt something inside her break that had nothing to do with physical trauma. Well, then I'm going to come up there. I'm going to board your ship, and I'm going to show your commander exactly what happens when you laugh at human pain. Behind Maya, the compound was littered with unconscious or groaning Caldrix soldiers, all 50 of them defeated by one woman in less than 10 minutes. Cora reached for her communicator with shaking hands up on the iron talon. Commander Vexer was still smiling, still confident, still absolutely certain of his superiority. He was reviewing the latest intelligence reports, making plans for the occupation, deciding which human cities to target first. Then Cora's transmission came through. Sir, she gasped, and Vexler could hear the pain and fear in her voice. We need to abort. We need to leave now, right now. Vexther's smile faded. Lieutenant. Report what's happening down there, she. Happened, sir, one human, she. Destroyed us, all of us. I've lost my entire team. My armor is destroyed, half. My soldiers are unconscious, the rest are injured, sir. We made a mistake. Terrible mistake. Humans aren't fragile. They're not weak, they're the... Transmission cut off. Vexther stared at the console, his 3 eyes blinking in confusion. One human, one, that was impossible. Humans were weak. The intelligence said so. The reports confirmed it. They broke easily. They felt pain. They were fragile. Jix. He said slowly, get me a full tactical scan of that installation. I want to know what weapons they're using, what defenses they have, how one human defeated 50 of our best warriors. Grix worked his console, his mandibles clicking nervously. After a moment he looked up and his expression was troubled. Sir, according to our scans, there's only one human down there, female, no heavy weapons detected, no defensive shields, no powered armor, just one human. Vexther felt something he hadn't experienced in years, something he'd almost forgotten. The sensation of it started in his primary stomach and spread through his entire body like ice water. Fear. Get Lieutenant Cora back on the line, he ordered now, but Cora wasn't answering. None of the strike team was answering. The life signs monitors showed they were alive but incapacitated. 50 soldiers, 50 highly trained, heavily armed, battle-tested warriors taken down by a single human female who wasn't even wearing armor. Sir, Gry said quietly, perhaps we should reconsider our approach to this world. Vexther wanted to argue, wanted to insist that this was a fluke, an anomaly, that humans were still weak and fragile and easy to conquer, but he couldn't get the image out of his head. 50 soldiers, one human. How long until the second wave is ready to deploy, he asked. 6 hours, sir. Delay it. I want more information. I want to know what we're really dealing with. Here, down on Earth, Maya was zip-tying unconscious aliens and humming to herself. She checked her watch. 9 minutes 42 seconds. Not her best time, but not bad considering she'd taken it easy on them. Orders were to capture if possible, and dead aliens weren't very talkative. Her communicator buzzed. Captain Martinez's voice crackled through Tor's status report. All clear, Cap. 50 hostiles neutralized. 0 casualties on our side. I'm going to need a cleanup crew and about a 100 more zip ties. There was a pause. Tors, please tell me you didn't engage 50 alien soldiers by yourself. Okay, Mia said agreeably. I won't tell you that. Another pause. Longer this time. Mia could almost hear the captain rubbing his temples. You're insane, you know that? Yes, sir, but I'm your kind of insane. And sir, you might want to prep the diplomatic team. I think we're about to get a very nervous phone call from orbit. I may have terrified the commander just a little bit. Accidentally, on purpose. She looked up at the sky where she knew the alien ship was watching, and she waved, a friendly, cheerful wave, the kind of wave that said, we see you, we're ready. And we are absolutely not what you thought we were. Up on the Iron Talon, Commander Vexther saw that wave on his monitor, saw that tiny human female looking directly at his ship, thousands of kilom above her, and waving like she didn't have a care in the world. And for the first time in his long military career, Commander Vexther of the Cal Dominion considered the possibility that maybe Just maybe he had picked the wrong planet to invade. Commander Vexter spent the next 6 hours doing something he never thought he would do. Researching his enemy, really. Researching, not just not skimming. Intelligence reports written by underlings who told him what he wanted to hear, but actually digging into the data about humans and their bizarre little world. What he found made his scales itch. Earth had a gravitational pull that was significantly higher than most civilized worlds. Humans spent their entire lives being crushed by their own planet. Their atmosphere was 21% oxygen, which was downright toxic levels compared to most species. They regularly endured temperature swings that would kill a Caldrex in minutes. Their oceans were filled with creatures that could swallow a shuttle whole. Their land masses had predators that hunted in packs, ambush hunters that could kill with a single bite, and insects that carried diseases capable of wiping out entire populations. And humans thrived there. This doesn't make sense, Vexter muttered, scrolling through medical data. They have weak bones, thin skin, limited natural defenses. How did they become apex predators? Grix leaned over his shoulder, mandibles twitching. Sir, look at this. Their evolutionary history. They didn't start as apex predators. They started as prey. Vexer pulled up the file. Humans had evolved as persistence hunters. They weren't the fastest, weren't the strongest, weren't the most dangerous, but they were relentless. They would chase prey for days, literally days, running until their target collapsed from exhaustion. And when other predators took their kills, humans didn't give up. They developed tools, weapons, fire. They turned their weakness into adaptation. They taught themselves to be dangerous, Vexter said softly, because they had to. His communicator chimed. Transmission from the surface, finally. Lieutenant Cora was back online. Sir, she said, and her voice sounded hollow, defeated. They're letting us go. The humans, they're loading my team onto medical shuttles and sending us back up. All of them, even the ones I thought were dead. They're alive. Human female. She didn't kill anyone. She could have easily, but she didn't. Vexer felt his stomach clench. She spared you. Why? She said, and I'm quoting here, sir, that dead soldiers can't deliver messages, sir. She wants you to know that Earth has 3,000 soldiers like her. 3,000, all enhanced, all trained, all willing to die to protect their world. And that's just at this one facility. There are 15 other facilities around the planet. The math hit Vexter like a physical blow. 45,000 enhanced super soldiers. If one could defeat 50 Caldrex warriors, then the numbers became horrifying. His entire invasion force wouldn't be enough. Not even close. She also said something else, sir. Cora's voice dropped to a whisper. She said that the enhanced soldiers aren't even their best defense, she said. They have something called nuclear weapons, biological agents, quantum disruption devices, she said. Humans have been preparing to kill each other for thousands of years, and they've gotten very, very good at it. And now all that creativity, all that violence, all that survival instinct, it's pointed at us. Vexter closed his 3 eyes. Bring your people home, Lieutenant. Yes. Sir, I'm sorry, I failed you. No, Vexter said quietly, I failed you. I sent you into a situation I didn't understand. That's on me. Transmission ended. Beekster sat in silence for a long moment, his tail coiled around his command chair, 47. Worlds conquered, 47 victories, and now this, defeated without even landing a significant force. Sir Gry said hesitantly, "What are your orders?" Vexthor looked at the planet rotating below, so beautiful, so deadly, like a flower that ate insects. "Open a channel, diplomatic frequency. I want to speak with whoever is in charge down there." 20 minutes later, a human face appeared. On his view screen, an older male with gray hair and a weathered face. He wore what appeared to be a military uniform, covered in colorful insignia. "Commander Vexthor," the human said in perfect Cal standard. "I'm General Robert Hayes, United Earth Defense Force. I understand you've had a rough morning." The fact that the human spoke his language fluently was another surprise. When had they learned it, General Hayes? Vexthor said, trying to maintain some dignity. "Your soldier, the female at the installation, is she representative of your species?" Hayes smiled. It wasn't a cruel smile, but it wasn't friendly either. "Sergeant Torres, she's one of our best, sure, but representative." "That's a complicated question. Most humans aren't enhanced like her. Most of us are exactly as fragile as your intelligence report said. We do break easily, we do feel pain intensely, but here's the thing, Commander, we also heal, we adapt, we overcome. You sent one soldier against 50 of mine." "Actually," Hayes said, leaning back in his chair, "we sent one soldier because we didn't want to start an interstellar war over a misunderstanding. Torres had orders to capture, not kill. Notice how all your people are coming back alive. That was intentional. That was mercy. That was us giving you a chance to reconsider your approach." Vexthor felt his jaw tighten. "You're threatening me?" "No, sir, I'm educating you. There's a difference. You came to our world expecting easy conquest. You laughed at human pain. You thought our fragility made us weak, but let me tell you something about humans that your intelligence reports probably missed. We've been fighting each other for our entire history. Wars, conflicts, battles. We've spent thousands of years perfecting the art of killing. And then, about 100 years ago, we looked up at the stars and realized we might not be alone. You know what we did?" Hayes leaned forward and his expression became serious. "We stopped fighting each other and started preparing to fight you, not you specifically, but whoever showed up. Thinking we'd be easy pickings, we took every weapon we'd ever designed, every tactic we'd ever developed, every bit of violence we'd ever inflicted on ourselves, and we pointed it outward. We built facilities like Alpha 7. We created soldiers like Torres. We developed weapons that would make your military scientists have nightmares. And we waited. You were expecting us." Vexthor said slowly, "We were expecting someone. The galaxy is a big place, Commander. Statistically, somebody was going to find us eventually, and statistically, some of those somebodies were going to be hostile, so we prepared. We made ourselves dangerous. Not because we wanted to, but because we had to." Vexthor looked at Grix, then back at the screen. "What do you want?" "General, right now I want you to take your ships and leave our system. I want you to go back to your Dominion and tell them that Earth is not available for conquest, that humans are not victims, that we are willing to talk, willing to trade, willing to be neighbors, but absolutely not willing to be subjects. And if we refuse, if we bring our entire fleet," Hayes sighed, "then a lot of People die, Commander, yours and mine. Because here's the truth. Yes, we're fragile. Yes, you'd kill a lot of us. Maybe even most of us, but we wouldn't stop. We'd fight you in our cities, in our oceans, in our mountains. We'd fight you in space. We'd follow you back to your worlds. Humans are persistence. Hunters, remember, we don't give up. Ever, and eventually, probably after far too much death and destruction on both sides, we'd win, not because we're stronger, but because we're too stubborn to quit. There was a long silence. Vexthur, his victories, his reputation, and he thought about losing it all because he picked a fight with a species that was too crazy to know when they were beaten. You're insane, he said finally. Your entire species is insane. Hayes laughed, actually laughed. Yeah, we get that a lot. Comes with the territory when you evolve on a death world. So, what's it going to be? Commander, peace or war, down on Earth? Maya Torres was finishing her report when Captain Martinez walked into the debriefing room. He looked tired, the kind of tired that came from dealing with bureaucrats and diplomats and alien invasions all at the same time. Torres, he said, dropping into a chair, you just started a diplomatic incident. Sir, technically they started it when they invaded. They didn't invade, they sent a scouting force. They sent 50 soldiers with plasma weapons. That's not scouting, that's probing our defenses. And I defended successfully, I might add. Martinez rubbed his temples. You terrified their commander. Good. Fear is a great teacher. Maybe next time they'll think twice before attacking random planets. The general is talking to him now. Diplomatic channels, peace talks. Maya raised an eyebrow. Think it'll work? I don't know. Depends on whether their commander is smart enough to cut his losses. We got lucky. Torres, they didn't know what they were dealing with, but now they do. And if they bring their full fleet, enhanced soldiers or not, we're going to have a real fight on our hands. Then we fight, Maya said simply. That's what we do. That's what we've always done. Martinez looked at her for a long moment. You really believe that, don't you? That we can take on an interstellar empire? Sir, my great-great-grandmother survived the climate wars. My grandfather fought in the unification conflicts. My mother was part of the Mars colony defense during the rebellion. Fighting impossible odds isn't new to my family. It's not new to humanity. We're good at it. We've had practice. Up on the Iron Talon, Commander Vexthur was making a decision that would change the course of Calor's military history. He looked at General Hayes on the screen, at that weathered human face that had seen battles and survived. We'll leave, he said finally, but this isn't surrender. This is a tactical retreat. We need to reassess our intelligence, reorganize our approach. Call it whatever helps you sleep at night, Commander, as long as you leave. We don't care about the terminology. One question, Vexthur said. The soldier. Torres, how many like her do you really have? Hayes smiled. Does it matter? You've seen one. You know what she can do. Do you really want to find out if we have 3,000 or 300,000? Vexthur didn't answer. He didn't need to. Safe travels, Commander, Hayes said. And if you see any other species thinking about invading Earth, do us all a favor and tell them what you learned today. Save everyone some trouble. Transmission ended. Vexthur sat in his command chair, feeling older than his years. Grix approached cautiously. Sir, the fleet commanders are asking for orders. Tell them to prepare for departure. We're leaving this system. And Earth, sir, do we mark it as hostile territory? Vexter thought about that. Hostile didn't seem like the right word. Dangerous, yes. Deadly, absolutely, but hostile implied aggression. The humans hadn't attacked first, they defended. There was a difference. Mark it as protected, he said finally, and add. Note to the file, human fragility is deceptive, their weakness is a trap. They've adapted to survive on a death world, and that adaptation has made them formidable. Recommend avoiding military engagement. Suggest diplomatic approach. Only yes, sir, as the Caldrex fleet began powering up their engines, preparing to leave Earth's solar system. Vexter took one last look at the blue-green planet below, somewhere down there. That human female was probably still smiling, probably telling stories about how she defeated 50 Caldrex warriors single-handedly. And the worst part, she'd earned the right to brag. 3 weeks later, the story had spread through the Calder's dominion like wildfire. The commander who laughed at human pain, who thought Earth would be an easy conquest, had retreated after a single engagement. Some called it cowardice, others called it wisdom, but everyone learned the same lesson. Humans were dangerous not because they were strong, but because they were fragile and survived anyway. Because they felt pain and kept fighting, because their world tried to kill them every day and they refused to die. General Hayes stood in his office, reading the report from intelligence. The Calder's fleet had left the system. No further contact. Earth was safe for now. Captain Martinez knocked and entered. Sir Torres is asking permission to take leave. Says she needs a vacation. After saving the planet, Hayes laughed. Approved. That woman earned it. Hell, give her a medal while you're at it. Already done, sir. The Medal of Valor. She's the youngest recipient in history. Good. What's our status on the other facilities? All personnel are on high alert. Enhanced soldiers are ready. Defense systems are active. If anyone else shows up with hostile intentions, we'll be ready. Hayes nodded, looking out the window at the sky. Somewhere up there, aliens were telling stories about the Deathworld and its crazy inhabitants. Stories about humans who turned their fragility into strength, who felt pain and used it as fuel, who survived when they shouldn't have been able to. You no, he said softly, maybe Vexter did us a favor. Now the galaxy knows humans aren't easy prey. We're survivors, and if you push us, we push back harder. Martinez smiled. Think they'll leave us alone now? Some will, others won't. There's always someone who thinks they can win, but at least now they'll know what they're getting into. No more surprises, no more assumptions. Down at Alpha 7, Maya Torres was packing her duffel bag when her teammate, Corporal James Wu, stuck his head in. Hey hero, heard you're taking leave. 2 weeks going to visit my family. Sleep in a real bed, eat food that doesn't come from a military cafeteria. You earned it, taking down 50 aliens. Solo, that's going to be in the history books. Maya shrugged. I just did my job. They underestimated us. Big mistake. You think they'll come back? Maybe, maybe not, but if they do, we'll be ready. That's what we do. We survive, we adapt. We win. James grinned. Man, I almost feel sorry for the next species that tries to invade. Don't, Mia said, slinging her bag over her shoulder. They'll learn the same lesson Vexter learned. Humans are fragile, but we're also fierce. And when You combine those two things when you take a species that knows how to survive and give them a reason to fight well. You get us, and nobody alien or otherwise wants to mess with that. She walked out into the sunlight, breathing the earth air, feeling the gravity that had shaped her species for millennia. Somewhere up there, Commander Vexer was probably still trying to explain to his superiors how one human defeated his entire strike team. Maya smiled, let him explain, let the whole galaxy know. Humans were here to stay, and anyone who thought otherwise was welcome to try their luck. They just shouldn't expect it to go